It's finally over. The Acolyte is done, and we're finally able to move on from this travesty. Now, unfortunately, this is the final nail in the coffin of Star Wars, but at this point, it's not really so much mourning that it's over with. It's just finally we can let Star Wars rest and be done with it. Because this episode, honestly, I think is the worst one out of everything we've seen so far. Nothing's built up to this ending. And, at least you can say one thing that's been consistent for this show is just how bad it's been, how nonsensical, how nothing has built on what's come before. That going into this season finale, the only thing I was sure that was going to happen is Soul was going to die. That's the only thing I knew that was going to happen. Heck, we could have had Osha and May both die in this episode. We could have Quimir also die. We could have half the universe blow up. And I'd be like, okay, yep, I can accept all that. I wouldn't be surprised at that happening at all. It's just that nothing built upon what happened before. Just for a prime example here. So, at the very beginning, we see that Osha has the Vader helmet on. She's doing the Darth Vader breathing. Like, come on, knock that off, guys. And Quimir is coming in. He seems proud of her that she's reaching to the dark side slowly. And then all of a sudden, she gets into like this dark force trance that enters in Quimir's mind for somehow. Because we see his eyes turn black, which is the same way that her mom went and tried to take over Torbjorn, and his eyes went black due to her force power. So how is Osha able to use that? I don't understand myself, and the show doesn't do a good job explaining it at all. I personally thought when the scene was going on that the helmet itself, because it was a dark force entity, was wearing it as for dark side users, that it was corrupting her mind and is going out and corrupting everyone around it. But they never do a good job explaining what happened there. And from here, apparently, Osha gets a vision of her sister killing Soul without a lightsaber. So, I mean, right off the bat, we know right away that she accomplished her mission that was assigned to her by Quimir. So, I guess good job there. But she then demands that Quimir takes her off the planet to go meet up with her sister and try to save her sister and Soul. At least it's implied that she wants to save Soul. At least she wants to save her sister from Quimir. But I don't quite understand why Quimir is willing to take her along on this, except for the fact that he wants to see if she'll fall further to the dark side, so he acquiesces to her request. But here's the thing. As they're leaving to go on this mission, to go meet up with May and Soul, guess who's hiding around the corner? Plagueis. Yep, he's just right there as a creep. Like, why is this powerful Sith Lord just hiding and acting like a creep? Like, he's supposed to be like a high-level politician, very wealthy, very refined. Like, why do you have him acting creepy? I guess maybe you're like, oh, it's a Sith. It's supposed to be dark and mysterious and scary. But why? Also, was he here the whole time? And what was he doing the entire previous episode? Was he just hiding in a cave, just watching the two, like, sinisterly? Like, telling Quimir, like, if you go undress and show her your manly parts, that'll definitely get her to come over to the dark side. And that's how you slowly get her to become evil. I guess it just doesn't make any sense there. The only reason why he's in there is just as a little Easter egg to throw in for the fans. Like, yes, this is now connected to the prequel trilogy, so don't worry. The prequels are now destroyed as well. I mean, they were already destroyed from everything that we've seen in the show so far, but they just got even worse so far after that point. Now, from here, we switch over to Soul and May. And honestly, this is a retarded part in my opinion, because May somehow is able to get out of her confines thanks to the little robot. Now, I can understand it working for one handhold because the robot was able to hack into that, but how did her other side get unlocked? Correct me if I'm crazy, but usually when you lock someone into place on a table, usually you have to lock both sides. And if the machine was going to unlock it for her, then why did it have to go into the cuff itself? It should go to a control panel where it can unlock it from there. So that whole setup doesn't make any sense. And the fact that she was then able to escape from him, and the part that completely tore me out of the show was when she said that I'll see you in hell. Like, hell's not even in the Star Wars universe. That's completely unknown. Like, maybe she could have said, like, I'll see you on the dark side of the Force, or something like more Star Warsy instead of like our own world. Like hell doesn't exist in the Star Wars universe as far as I know. Now maybe you can say the dark side of the Force hell, but that's never been established. So why would you even bring that phraseology into Star Wars, except you don't understand how Star Wars is phrased or how people speak about Star Wars? So it just gets worse from here. They go on a chase after May because apparently she's able to get into a fighter. Like, why is there a fighter onside Star Wars spaceship? The ship's not big enough to be carrying fighters, but okay, it has one, and she's able to get into it and escape from them, which causes a whole chase scene, which is absolutely retarded. Why did I say retarded? Because he flies through an ice ring around a planet, or maybe it's an asteroid field. I'm kind of confused of what exactly it is, but he drives straight through it, and it looks like it's hitting the spaceship and just bouncing off it. First, if that was really happening, that would destroy your spaceship. Two, why aren't the deflector shields up? If this is really going on, you should have the deflector shields going up, having it bouncing it off. You could have him looking at one of the power scalings and see it's gradually decreasing, and then Sol realizing that he has to get out of there, otherwise his ship is going to get destroyed. But instead of that, we have the Gopher betray Sol for some reason. He goes into control panel, bites through it, cracks open the power coupling, I guess, of some sort, and he starts losing power. So Sol has to get out of the ice ring or asteroid belt that he's flying through. And May also has to do the same. She has to get out of there and crash lands on the planet. And once again, you can walk away from crash lands, people. That little ship that she was in that should have been destroyed as soon as it made impact, yep, she was able to get out of it, walk away just fine. How? Like, it's one thing if she was able to open up the canopy, jump out, and use her force abilities to save herself. Okay, maybe I can buy that. But the fact that it hit the planet, she's still in there, and yeah, it was still intact enough for her to survive, and she's able to climb out of the wreck. I'm sorry, that's just complete retardation in my opinion. And the whole thing that was going on here, that he was talking to her at the table, is that he was trying to tell her that her and Osha are the same being, that they're not twins, that they're not sisters, that they're literally the same person, just split into two different people by their mother. I wasn't really all that surprising. We pretty much have figured that out from the third episode when it was going on. But they try to build this up as some great reveal that once the sisters hear this, it's going to shake their world, change their perspective. But that never happens in the episode. When the big reveal does finally come, everyone treats it just like, okay, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. So the showrunners, I get why you want to make that as something big and important, but you don't give it enough emphasis for why, or at least when it happens, you don't really present it as something that's majorly important, at least in my opinion. Now, from here, we also get to see Nessa meeting up with a senator who wants to conduct an audit on the Jedi Temple because he's thinking that they're being sneaky, which they are, and the Jedi aren't really doing a good job proving their case to him. And as it's going along and having this conversation, it just does not go well. She's continuously lying to him and saying that, oh, don't worry, we'll get this stuff ready for you and we'll show you that we're clear and the Jedi have done no wrong. And Senator's just looking at her strangely. He doesn't quite buy what she's selling, but he leaves her telling her, may the Force be with you, in a sarcastic tone. So I had it happen eventually in Star Wars, but you couldn't use an embarrassing saying may the Force be with you. Then this one, it's fine, I guess, but come on, you could use it a bit better in my opinion, guys. Now, after this fiasco happens, she gets another crack team of Jedi together that are disposable, and they head off for the planet where Sol's responder is now activated, because now Sol and May are both on the planet, which is Grimdar. And we see them and Osha and Quimir also reach the planet, and everyone's converging on the fortress to meet up with people. Now, we see Sol and Quimir meet up and have their whole fight, and the fight was not that great. The choreography was, there's some parts that were good, but most of the fight, I'm just scratching my head like, why is this not over yet? Like, we've seen Quimir just completely destroy the Jedi before. He should have just killed Sol by this point. Like, why isn't he using his helmet to deactivate Sol's lightsaber? We don't see that through the entire fight. So I'm like, what the heck's going on here? In fact, there's this really, really, really dumb scene where Quimir's lightsaber is like this. It's here, all right? And Sol's lightsaber is here, okay? And Quimir is trying to pull Sol's lightsaber to his head to deactivate it. Why isn't Sol just going down to cut Quaimir's side open. Like, why is he even like struggling against him at this point? And why isn't Quaimir trying to just slice forward to cut Soul in half? Like, that made no sense. Like, if you want the most retarded Star Wars fight sequence, this one I'm showing you right now is definitely number one in my opinion. But he's able to destroy Quaimir's lightsaber and hold him at saber point and just holds him there. Just standing there. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't question anything. He just holds lightsaber there. He doesn't try to access his mind to see who his master is. We just get like a solid 10 to 15 seconds of him just holding the lightsaber. I guess you could make the argument that Soul's trying to debate whether he should kill him or just let him be, I guess. But in my opinion, we should have got something more interesting than just holding his lightsaber to his throat. And at this point, May and Osha have met up in their old room, and the two sisters kind of have a little bit of a reunion of sorts, where May is once again trying to convince Osha that the Jedi were lying to her, that Soul was the one who killed their mother, and that this whole thing was Soul's fault, that she's been brainwashed by the Jedi. Osha, not buying it, fights May. Now, here's the thing. May never owns up to the fact that she killed their coven. Okay, Soul might have killed your mother, but May killed everybody else and your other mom. Like, that's the thing. May killed way more people than Soul. May is the main cause for the catastrophe that happened at your home, why everyone is dead. But she never admits that for this entire episode. And after the sisters have a little scuffle, May is able to escape Osha and go and save Quaimir from Soul by deactivating his lightsaber and demanding him to confess to what happened before. And at this point, Soul's finally able to deliver the great reveal that you weren't sisters. You and Osha aren't even twins. That you are the same person. Somehow your mother was able to manipulate the Force through the convergence to create two separate beings. And then they're asking why that matters so much. Why couldn't you just take this to the Jedi as proof? And he's like, well, I needed both of you to show the Jedi that this was an actual thing. You had the evidence. You had the blood samples from both sisters. That should be enough to show the Jedi, like, hey, there's a convergence that happened here, that two beings were split apart and became two people. You guys should really come and check this out. So I don't even buy his reasoning for that if the Jedi were really interested in their findings and honestly believed them, they would send another team out there to do more in-depth investigation, led them to investigating the Night Sisters even more, and then the two sisters for the convergence. So his whole reasoning there doesn't hold water from what we know. Even within the last few episodes that we've seen, it doesn't make any sense. And when he finally admits that he did kill one of their mothers, he does it the worst way possible. He's like, yes, I did kill her, but it was to protect you and to give you the life that you wanted, Osha. He never tells her for the fact that night it was chaos. That night we heard your screams for help. We heard that the fortress was ablaze. The doors were locked, and we are extremely concerned for your safety, Osha. So we scaled the walls. We got in there, and then we were confronted by both your mothers. One of your mothers, the horned one, wanted to kill us. So we brought our weapons to defend ourselves. And then your sister May came rushing out, exclaiming that there's a fire, that everything's burning down, that you were going to die. And your mother, she started turning into this Force dark demon and started disintegrating and disintegrated May at the same time. I was concerned that she was going to do something dark and evil and kill May. So in an effort to try to save May and you, I killed your mother. I'm sorry. I didn't think that she was actually trying to protect you. To me at the time, it looked like she was trying to kill you and May, and I acted irrationally. He could have said something like that. But nope, we just get the, I did to protect you, and I love you, Osha. And Osha hears all this, and she isn't really listening to his explanations that he's trying to give, and she starts walking out there and starts force choking him. The first person in history to be able to figure out the force choke. And as she's choking him, he finally says, "Do it. Please just kill me." And she goes ahead and does it. And as she's doing that, she's holding Soul's lightsaber that she's now bleeding, I guess, somehow, and turning into a Sith lightsaber. And once she kills Soul, the saber has turned full on red. And she's going to cut down Chimere, but I guess she stops for some reason. I guess because the Jedi all of a sudden appear out of nowhere. So May and her sister Osha then disappear down some caverns. And we learn how May survives that fall before. She got sucked into a tunnel and was able to survive that way. But if she got sucked into the tunnel, where are all the fans? Like, if you did get sucked in there, we should at least see some fans or at least some proof of that. Like, there's no strong wind current there. So how did she survive exactly? Because when we saw this episode, we didn't hear any loud noises coming from the canyon that would give us an idea on how that would go on. But you know what? This is Disney Star Wars. They don't really care if their lore MacGuffins making sense or not. Now, as May and Osha are escaping from the Jedi who just landed to go find Soul, Vanessa, who's leading it, she's getting a forced sense of what's happened here, which I guess is possible. The way that they're having the Force works in the show is pretty wonky in my opinion. Maybe it has echoes from what happened, but that was a very long time ago. But then again, it's possible. I would like to have a little more of an understanding on how much those Force echoes can really tell somebody. But they don't do a very good job, in my opinion, of what they tell you. Now, Vanessa at this point, she also senses that her old Padawan, Chimere, is still alive, and she's searching for him as well as they search for May and Osha, but they never find him. Now, for May, Osha, and Chimere, they all meet up at the Death Tree, and we learn that Osha wants to go with Chimere to become a Sith now, and we also learn that May is going to get her mind wiped in order to go with the Jedi for some reason. I mean, I don't understand this. Like, why do you guys have to split up? They're making it sound like she has to go with the Jedi for some reason. Like, okay, yeah, the Jedi won't stop looking, but now that Vanessa knows that Chimere is out there, she's not going to stop looking regardless. And they're going to come after Osha as well. So why you going to mind wipe May? It doesn't make much sense to me, like the rest of the show. But Chimere goes ahead, mind wipes her. You know, there was a scene though that I thought that they were going to kill May, because he hands Osha a lightsaber and then she goes and gives May a hug. I was just expecting her to light the lightsaber, kill her sister, leave her there for dead, let the Jedi find her, and pin all the blame on the dead May. That's what I thought was going to happen. But they just leave her there with her mind wiped and get back in the ship and fly away. The Jedi then find May and bring her in for questioning, find that she has no memories except for that of an 11-year-old girl. So pretty much she's a simpleton at this point. And she just pretty much repeats what we know from the story so far, that her family's dead, a Jedi killed them, and there's someone important that she wanted to talk to you about. So Vanessa, in hopes of finding any information about her former Padawan, is pretty much gone at this point. Now, from here, Vanessa goes to the Jedi Council and she explains what happened. She pins all the blame, all the assassinations on Soul. It's his team's fault, but don't worry, we've cleaned this all up. We've got this all covered. Don't need to look us into it anymore. So pretty much this show has cast the Jedi in a horrible light. Like, I thought this was supposed to be with the Jedi at the top of their game, at the top of their most noble side of things. But from what we're seeing right here, Jedi are just scumbags. The Jedi have lied to the Council. They've presented false facts, and they have not been truthful with what's been going on at all. And yeah, that's pretty much where we're leaving this episode. We get another shot of seeing Chimere and Osha standing out on the Luke Skywalker planet, watching the sunset, both hands clasped like ship lovers, which makes zero sense because remember, everything that we've seen in this show so far has happened within a week. All right, just think about that. Everything we've seen has happened within a week, from May coming back into the scene, killing a couple of Jedi, to meeting her sister, to going to a planet where more Jedi died, and then being captured by a Dark Lord, being seduced by him, and falling to the dark side. It's all happened within a week, if not just a week, then maybe two. Like, that's radical changes that have been happening with Osha and May that make zero sense. But you know what? This is Disney Star Wars, so I'm not expecting it to make any sense in the slightest. So that's where we leave that story with Smilo Ren with his Rey. And the last scene of the episode is showing Vanessa meeting with Master Yoda, now making the Master Yoda in the prequels looking like a fool for not remembering what happened just a few hundred years ago, and warning Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon about the Sith that are out there. So, yeah, just completely destroys all canon. I'm glad the show's over. I'm glad it's completed. If anyone had any hope for Star Wars or had any real enjoyment in the show, I have to really question you about that, because this show was horrendous. Now, there's a boss of mine who absolutely loves Star Wars, and he's still behind it, and he enjoys the Acolyte. I don't know how he's able to do that. I question that, but he's a decently sized Star Wars fan, so I guess people just can overlook some things, but I personally cannot. For me, this is the end of Star Wars. I don't see it recovering anyway. I have to agree with Jeremy over at Geeks and Gamers. It's all bad. It all needs to be cut out. Everything since 2012, Star Wars needs to be cut away. I can't accept anything that Disney has touched where they have just tainted it all. And at this point, we're just looking at it, laughing, and being like, who even makes this? Who is even here for it? So, but that's my opinion for what we have seen with Star Wars. You guys let me know, what did you think about Disney Star Wars The Acolyte? Did you really enjoy it? Was this really something that you were looking forward to? I want to hear your comments down below. Hope you guys like the video, and subscribe if you feel like it, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye.